Jenny Funkmeyer here, Parallel University. Today, I'm going to talk about this incredible book. Oh my God. Robert Monroe. First of all, I know you can hear me because you are an out of body person before you died, and now that you're dead, I know you can hear me. First of all, I want to say thank you, Robert Monroe. Thank you very much. Gratitude for you writing this book, writing this book, writing this book, these 3 books, and dedicating your life as a scholar, as a scientist, to investigate into what life is really about. I've been studying spirituality my whole life, and I think I'm guided all the way to today. This is the latest book. I feel this is an amazing guidance for me to live my life. And I thank Robert Monroe. In the spirit, you are in spirit, you're out of body right now, you can hear me. Thank you. So, let me give you a context about this book, how incredible and significant and amazing this book is. This is the book that would really guide you to live an amazing life right now. What it will do, what it did for me is I understand there is God, there is a creator. That has always been something that I'm always wondering, but now I know. Also, it really helps me not to be afraid of death. And those are really big things in a person's life. And reading Robert Monroe's 3 books and practicing out-of-body experience yourself, I believe, is the ultimate spiritual path for me in this lifetime right now. So here is how significant this book is to me. So let me give you a context of Robert Monroe's book. In 1952, he was practicing, his company was making these sound recordings so that people can go into a deeper meditation and it facilitate their learning. And he was doing a lot of testing with different sounds going into different sides of his brain, and then spontaneously he started traveling out of body. And his first book, Journey Out of the Body, was published in 1971. I have a review of this book, and it talks all about his experience going into all kinds of different realms. What happened as soon as you shed your physical body, that's what out-of-body experience means. As soon as you shed your body, you go into your light body, you go into your second body, which is your body that's not the physical body, but the second body, and then the third body, that's your light body. And that's how far Robert Monroe gone to his third body. And you can now travel, no time, no space. You can meet anyone you want physically, especially people who are non-physical, dead loved ones. You can also visit anywhere in history. So this is the experience he has, and it's not so much a spiritual text as a scientific report of a spiritual experience. So it's very much, so the next book he wrote is Far Journey, published in 1984, I believe. This is midstream the Monroe Institute. He has started the Monroe Institute and started teaching people how to experience out-of-body experience themselves, because he says it's no use listening to me. You will believe that you can travel out of the body, but doing it, you know you can travel out of the body. You know there is life after death. Knowing is so much more superior than belief. So he started the Monroe Institute to teach people how to do what he does, and also to help doing all kinds of research into the next realm, into the non-physical realm. And here he is. Robert Monroe, right there. So in this book, he talked a lot about the new direction, the fact that once you're in the non-physical realm, you can help people who are very confused. They are stuck in their mind. They didn't know they died. So these are ghosts. They usually are like trapped in the house in whatever activity they were doing just before they died, and they just kind of skip over the fact that they died. And so they kind of still in life. They think they're in life. They're repeating themselves. They just don't know there's something wrong, but they try to refuse to see what's wrong. And they don't know they died. And by then, their physical body is gone. They're just kind of trapped as an energy that is trapped. And Robert Monroe discovered that while you are in your physical body and you're traveling out of body, you can actually help these people by going up to them and telling them, hey, you know what, you're dead. That's why you it's kind of like this, and try to slowly explain it to them, and also bring them into the light, bring them into their own spirit guides so they can move on. So in this book, Robert Monroe talked a lot about that. I don't have a review in that yet. I will. This review here is about this book. Published 1 year before he died in 1994. 45 years of experience traveling out of body, helping thousands and thousands of people travel out of body. He has become a true scholar, a scientist. He calls himself the map maker, the explorer, the pioneer into the non-physical realm that we are all going to go to after we die. Reality is what remains after you don't believe it exists. Who said that? And this is what it is. If you don't believe that there are these realms after you die, you don't have to believe, because it is there. So, first of all, to give you a context of these books are in the vein of this kind of book. This is Holographic Universe, written by Michael Talbot, or Miracles of Mind, written by Russell Top and Jane Catra. Bruce Lipton, Biology of Belief. Life After Life by Raymond Moody. These are in the same vein as Robert Monroe's book. They are really written by scientists, not spiritualists. They're just scientists doing their research. Life After Life is, Raymond Moody is a medical doctor interviewing people after they die, and he's got this really interesting things that he discovered, and it turned him into a spiritualist. And Bruce Lipton talks about the biology. He's a biologist, and it's like how biology changes a living organism completely, and that turned him into a spiritualist. Russell Talk and Jane Catra. Russell Talk is a remote viewer, a scientist, a skeptic, interviewing people about seeing without your physical eye, just seeing with your third eye, and that turned him into a spiritualist. Michael Talbot investigates all over the world about scientists who are investigating on the energy field. After all his research, it turned him into a spiritualist. And so is Robert Monroe. He started as a businessman, making recordings to help people learn Spanish language better. And somehow it pops him out of the body. 25 years later, 45 years later, he turned into a spiritual person, a spiritual teacher. Like, for example, Yogananda, this is a spiritual teacher, but this person is not a scientist. He started from the spiritual side, whereas people like Russell Tark and Bruce Lipton are actual scientists who come to become a spiritualist. So this is also Robert Monroe's thesis that in this life, we don't need to work on our spirituality. That's what he thinks. He thinks what we need is to work on our left brain, our science, so that instead of believing there is God, you can know that there is God. You don't have to believe. Believe is great, but it is much better to have knowing. And the only way you can come to knowing is to use your left brain, because your left brain, when it actually sees proof, it will actually believe that, oh, I see, instead of believing things. I believe, for example, you can say, I believe Paris exists. But if you have been to Paris, you've taken the subway in Paris, you have eaten a croissant in Paris, you have visited Paris, when you come back, you don't have to say, I believe Paris exists. You would say, I know Paris exists. And that's what I like about it. When a scientist writes about spend their whole life investigating in things that cannot be explained, and they end up being spiritualists. They end up being very satisfied that, yes, there is such a thing as spirituality. So that's where this book stands for me, and this is my favorite kind of book, although I do like books when spiritualists writes them too. And so the other thing about this book, to give you a context, is everything that Robert Monroe is saying is based on actual experience that he has gone into the next realm, the realm that is us, non-physical. Now, this is so significant. This is not someone who has, like, I study lucid dreaming, and I am a lucid dreamer. I was a lucid dreamer. I no longer lucid dream as much as I do, because it's, anyway. I am a lucid dreamer, so I can kind of tell what he's saying, and I have experienced a lot of what he's saying through lucid dreaming. But the thing about the difference between lucid dreaming and out-of-body experience is that in lucid dreaming, you fall asleep and you wake up in a dream, and then you wake up inside the dream and you know you're dreaming. But in out-of-body experience, you don't lose consciousness at all. You start from being just lying there. You wait till your body goes to sleep. Literally, it goes to sleep. It goes through something called paralysis, and you can't move anymore. And then you know your body is completely asleep. And I have done that. This is how I go into my lucid dream. I actually listen to my body snoring, going, my body's completely asleep and my mind is awake. So, but I did not know that now you can now slip out of your body and completely break free from the physical reality into your spiritual reality. Now, I didn't know that, so I haven't done that yet. I haven't done exactly out-of-body travel, but I have spontaneously out-of-body traveled twice, and I also am a lucid dreamer, so I'm very close. I will be doing it I will be spending a lot of time doing it, but I'm just excited to make a book report to you right now. So, where was I? Oh my God. So, you do not lose consciousness when you go out of your body. So you literally wait till your body fall asleep and you travel out. When you travel out, you are in a very solid, non-physical reality. The only difference with this non-physical reality and the reality that we're in right now is that it is not physical. So the first thing that you have to adjust to is the fact that there is no time and there's no space, there's no gravity. Everyone knows what you're thinking. You're thinking, there's no secrets anymore. What you think becomes your reality immediately. Right? So when this happens, it actually is a complete proof that there is life after death. We are not wiped out. We don't go into the void and cease to be. In fact, we actually stays who we are completely. We just continue our learning, whatever we did not learn here in the physical life, the learning process will continue. In fact, nothing is really different. It's just that it is non-physical. It is energetic based. So it has a completely different sets of rules. But everything else in this life continues. Whatever you don't learn in this life, you will be living in this reality that you created for yourself. So you will not be learning new things. You just live in that reality. So if you're a hateful person, you're living in a hateful reality. You're living in hell, literally. And through this book, Far Journey, Robert Monroe has gotten into the hell realm, into the Jesus realm, where people just believes in Jesus and they live with Jesus and they're just there. They think they're in heaven, whatever you think becomes in the next realm. So the first advice Robert Monroe has, and he has very beautiful, detailed, written out advice for life. That's the thing I like about this book the most, is that it is a guidebook from a scientist who become a spiritual teacher and giving me guidance, giving you guidance to live this physical life better, get the most out of it, so you can have a better life after you become non-physical. And also the fact that there is incarnation. You can then, if you want, come back to become a human again, so you can, do better. And I guess the only way to get to a better place after you die is to come back to life and get yourself to become a better person. The better person, your life after you die is going to be exactly how you believe reality to be. So really, really look at what you believe, because you're going to live in it after you die. So, okay. So, another thing I want to say is that this book encompasses all of these books. For example, Neil Gaiman's book, American God, one of my favorite books. It's about all these incredible beings living kind of a quiet life. They are gods, but they are now living in human life, in the physical life, and this is kind of a funny story about them. And in Ultimate Journey, Robert Monroe meets a being who is 1,800 years old, living in a continuous basis on Earth. So Uh, this is how he meets the 1,800-year-old being. I follow the dwindling curl of lights through the darkness. Suddenly I was in a room. At the desk on one side of the room sat a person. I couldn't tell whether it was male or female. The face and body structures could be either. One moment it was male, and then I was sure it was female, a true equal, a he-she. He-she. It was the radiation from this man that stuns me. It was like standing in bright spring light that was filled with every human emotion that ever existed. It was awful, almost overwhelming, and yet familiar. It was balanced too. Then she closed off the radiation and looked up at me. The eyes were bottomless. I could detect no expression or emission. The control was perfect. So this man has total control. He could be radiating light, but he can also control it, so it's completely normal. You don't know that he is an enlightened being. The lips didn't move, but I heard. I was expecting this now, because in the non-physical realm, we don't talk with our lips. We don't have a body anymore. We just think. Whatever you think becomes transmitted immediately, and that's why there's telepathic communication, and that's why there's no longer any secrets, because with people can read your mind and know where you stand completely. There's no reason to pretend and hide things. How pleasant would that be? That would really be pleasant. The man said, he, she. I've never heard that name before. Robert Monroe. I meant no disrespect. I didn't know what to call you. The man. One name is as good as another. Now, do you really believe I can be of help to you? I always hoped that you could. In what way? To answer a few questions? What good would my answers be to you? I don't know. You insist others obtain their own answers. Why should you be different? Robert Monroe always say people should learn themselves and experience it themselves. So the man knows this is how he thinks. This strikes home. It was as if my bluff had been called. You're right, I'm interested in you, not for you to answer my questions. So he says, you can read my mind. Oh yeah, only a part of it, with your permission, I'm sure. So I have lived one continuous lifetime for 1,800 years. How do you stay young? And the man said, I keep changing jobs. That keeps anyone young. A good answer. This is my theory, that if you stay in the same job and you repeat yourself, that makes you old. So this 1,800-year-old human, he keeps changing jobs. So right now, he's an organizer, a facilitator, a lecturer of history in the university. He also drives an ambulance at night. He's a late-night bartender, a psychiatric counselor, and he's on his way to teach history, and it's at a university. So this guy is doing a lot. So Robert Monroe asked him, when do you eat and sleep? You know, when you see someone who does so much, you're like, when do you eat and sleep? And the answer is, I gave those up years ago. Yeah, it's my theory that I know. It's called breatharianism. I have met people who do not eat. And I heard there are people who do not sleep. Like Robert Monroe, you know, you put your body to sleep, but your mind is awake. I heard Deepak Chopra is doing that too. The mind goes to the body goes to sleep, but the mind stays active and alive, so you can you're sort of in a meditation, and that's the beginning of out of body experience. And then just Robert Monroe take that one step further and go out of body. So the first chapter 1 through 5, Robert Monroe is talking to, at first he thought was his spirit guide. He calls him his tour guide, someone who helps him in navigating this non-physical reality, because there are many different realms, there are different places. I will explain to you what those realms are. But there's a tour guide, there's a spirit guide that talks in his ears, and he can see, and he's talking, and the spirit guide takes him everywhere, so to show him the lay of the land. So the first thing Robert Monroe asked was like, well, show me where you live. Oh, the first thing Robert Monroe wants to do was to ask him to take him where he came from. Don't you always wonder where you come from? Maybe you came from a star. Maybe you are an extraterrestrial. You're not even an Earth native. Well, once you're in the non-physical realm, you can find out about that. You can go back home to your home planet where you came from. So the spirit guide teaches Robert Monroe how to go home. I thought of home as strongly as I could and release as the incept told me, the spirit guide told me. He has a name for it. It's called intelligent species. He calls it the intelligent species. I call the voice in my head my spirit guide, and he calls it intelligent species or a tour guide. You will find out who this spirit guide is in a little while. I will tell you. But the first thing he did was he go home. And the Robert Monroe's home planet is many-hued clouds, towers, many-colored, cloudy towers, just as I remember. But they're not cloud. They're floating in shades of glowing color, every color I have ever thought of, and some I only remember but can't express. Oh, let me just stop in the cloud and watch, feel, not see, but feeling. There is music, 1,000 instruments, thousands of voices, melody, waving upon melody, perfect counterpoint, the harmonic pattern I know so well. I will just stretch out forever and ever, listening to the music and in the clouds. This is where Robert Monroe comes from. He calls it the KT-95 planet. It's a realm that is colored and music, and he has come from there. That is his home that he's always trying to go back. And in chapter 43 of the Resurrection of Suyukteswar in Yogananda's book, Autobiography of a Yogi, Suyukteswar is Yogananda's teacher, guru, and he died and he came back in a Boston hotel room. He started telling Yogananda what his reality is like, and how Suyukteswar described the reality that he lives in is very similar, the music and the color, to the home that Robert Monroe is talking about. So it leads me to believe that Suyukteswar, Yogananda's guru, and Robert Monroe came from the same place, or a very similar, beautiful place. And Robert Monroe calls it home. He also calls it KT-57 in this book. So the first thing he did in this book was to show you where he came from. So that also means that I can find out where I come from. Although through my soul retrieval past life, I've always understand that I grew up in this planet. I may be wrong. When I do out-of-body experience, I will find out about that. But I was a piece of black mud in here on Earth. And that leads me to believe I've been here, you know, at least as old as this Earth, maybe 4.5 billion years, and that's me. So I feel like I'm an Earthling by now. I live here, I'm an Earthling. So that in the next chapter, Robert Monroe become curious as his spirit guide, his tour guide, like, who help him go home to find out his home planet, and has been kind of helping him traveling, navigating the realm, and also teaching him how to help other physical people who are just become non-physical, you know, the freshly dead and confused, how he can help those people. So this spirit guide has been with Robert Monroe through all these books, right? And now Robert Monroe in his last book, right, this is a culmination of the 45 years of travel. Finally, Robert Monroe said, so who are you? And he said, well, bring me to see where you live. And he shows him, and the guy tells him, I am you in the there, and you are you in the here. So he calls himself I here and I there, meaning his spirit guide is really himself over there in the non-physical realm as a different person, but it is part of his own soul group. So the concept of soul group, much talked about by this channel being named Seth. And Seth's books are my absolute favorite books. I will be doing lots of review on the Seth books. Look for them. Seth is channeled by Jane Roberts, and in Seth he describes how we are actually groups of souls. So in who I am in this physical being, I am like my finger to my body. My soul would be my whole body, and I would just be this finger. I am doing my thing. I think I am a person. I'm Jenny Funkmeyer and all that, but actually Jenny Funkmeyer is just a finger belonging to the big soul called Seth calls it the oversoul of Jenny Funkmeyer. So the guy that has been taking Robert Monroe all over the non-physical realm is actually him, his oversoul, the higher self of Robert Monroe, and he calls him I there. And he shows, and this being shows Robert Monroe how they live. There are no houses, there are no buildings, what appears to be a large settlement. There are snow-capped peaks surrounding the valley on three sides. Beyond the open side were forests and fields extending to the horizon. A bright sun hung in a blue sky studded with small cumulus clouds. The thing that was amazing is that they live in happiness and harmony. There are 2 million of them. They're all oversouls of they're all part of Robert. I, meaning Robert over there, and I here, Robert in the physical. That's how he calls it in this book. And so the past. This place is the past. Anyway, he found out where his oversoul lives and how they live. They live, 2 million of them. They live in harmony. They live in love with each other, and it's just so incredible that Robert Monroe said, it's so amazing that you can actually live in such harmony. And then wow, this book is so dense. Every story, I mean, it's a book that I need to read. I will be reading for the rest of my life. There are books that I go back to read them continuously. Every year I will kind of reread them and get something new, because this book is so incredible. There's each line I could suddenly, it will explode to me, and I will have certain understanding from other books. For example, this book I've read, Nisargadatta, talks about the realm beyond all this, and through reading Robert Monroe, I understand what better. I have more knowing of what he's talking about. And the Tibetan Book of the Dead, one of my favorite books, I've read it so much it fell apart, talks about the realm. When you leave your body, if you don't know what's coming up, you're going to be scared. So they go around, telling you what you're going to encounter when you die. And Robert Monroe encounters that in his book. So, like, when there's such correlation between such classics and a scientist just, wandering by himself in the 40s and the 50s, and I mean, it gives me great confidence that what Robert Monroe is talking about is real. Is real. So then, and leaves him. So this is. He said, "Well, you've learned enough. Now you have to explore on your own. I can't be with you and keep leading you and showing you. You have to find out for yourself. Everyone has to learn this for themselves. You can't just follow someone." And this is something I really, really believe. And that's why I don't like to follow a guru in this life, and I don't like to be in a religious practice. Those are really good guidelines. I understand that. But I feel like I need to explore it on my own so I can find it. I mean, I know, Buddha has attained enlightenment, but I can't just follow Buddha and attain enlightenment his way. I have to attain enlightenment my own way. And that's what Robert Monroe says. Everyone needs to do your out-of-body experience yourself. I can't tell you. I can only tell you my experience. And this is so much what I think. I really feel like Robert Monroe is talking in my way. And for many years, I have my spirit guide. I have hear voices, and it has guided me in a very solid way, but also and telling me how to do everything. I was very good. I was very happy to have, a voice in my head that tells me everything, that I call my spirit guide. But then, like Robert Monroe, some time ago, my spirit guide left me. He is still around, but he no longer speaks so much. When I tell him, well, should I do this or should I not? He doesn't say anything. And this happened to Robert Monroe. The guide that guides him through all these other journeys, now, in the beginning of this book, shows him home, shows him 1,000 where he lives, shows him 1,800 years person, and then leaves him. You mean, so it says, well, you will now go and do your exploration alone. You mean I have to, Robert Monroe said, you mean I have to experience it, whatever it is, and reach my own knowing? That is correct. But you do have knowledge of all I am encountering and will encounter, right? Up to a point. Beyond that point, the information is not available to us. Soon the reason will become clear to you. I assume you knew all of it. I was wrong. Oh, because you're seeking other knowledge. Your path is changing. You will be moving in a new direction. We will no longer be able to meet you as we are doing now. What? You're leaving me? What do you mean? That which you desire can only be reached in another form. You are well prepared for it. But I don't understand. What have I done wrong? It's the opposite. This coat and this glove, as you put it, will no longer fit that which you need. This coat and this glove meaning, it's a poetic way of saying me, this non-physical being, will no longer be able to teach Robert Monroe. But do you mean I have outgrown you? That's impossible. We shall always be with you. That will not change. But you will alter your polarities. Such communication as this will no longer be needed. Oh. So, wow. The way I lost my spirit guide was because I changed my polarities. It's true. I decided to take my life in a different way, different from what my spirit guide was guiding me. And then he said, okay, I'm leaving now. And he left. And since then, I had to do it my own. And I feel like my spirit guide didn't explain to me why he left. But now reading Robert Monroe, I feel like, yeah, I get it. I get why my spirit guide left. I changed my direction. So I am actually outgrown my spirit guide. I outgrown my spirit guide. So you mean I have outgrown you? Yes. Will I ever see you again? I don't know. Yes, but not as we are at this point. So we will see each other again. Robert Monroe and his spirit guide will meet again. Me and my spirit guide will meet again, but not like this, not like the way we are. So it's like that in life too, isn't it? I mean, you have best friends, you have people that you know really well, and then you change. And then you will not be meeting in the same way anymore. And if the other person change, you will meet them again. But then if this person does not change, you will never see them again. So I don't know what to say or think, Robert Monroe said. And the spirit guide said, there's nothing needed to be said or thought. And then the guy, he appears as a glowing light to Robert Monroe. The glowing light winked out. I waited alone in the deep blackness for an eternity before, sad and confused, deciding to return to his physical body. The feeling of loss was overwhelming, and what is my new direction? In my loneliness, there was no place to look. That's how I feel ever since my spirit guide left me. He said he's still with me, and he is. Sometimes when I'm really in despair, he will speak up loud and clear, just like he did before. But then mostly he no longer gives me direct instruction, and that's what happened to Robert Monroe. He lost his guide, and he had to forge on himself, because if a teacher is good, once the teacher teaches you everything that the teacher can teach, they should go away. They don't want you to follow them. A good teacher don't want you to follow them as if you are a god. So there is so much more to this book. I have to stop right now. I have somewhere to go. So this is part 1 of Ultimate Journey from Robert Monroe, and there will be part 2 coming. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.